Crab cakes and concrete. You know we're in Dover, Delaware for NASCAR Sprint Cup opening practice at the Monster Mile, Dover International Speedway. It's a beautiful day here in the capital city of Delaware. Some light clouds, 71 degrees. It may hit 80 as a high today. Partly cloudy skies, chance of rain tonight. So welcome to Dover. Last night we had the crab cakes, and now we're ready for some concrete at one of NASCAR's most unique racetracks, one of only two and a half that are paved with concrete. Bristol and Dover completely concrete. Martinsville with the concrete corners. But of the three, this is the longest, the fastest. It's the steepest bank, and often it spells trouble.
It really does, and of course, you know, you can eat too much of both. you can eat way too many crab and way too much concrete, which we've already done part of that. But anyway, what I like about this racetrack, it's like riding a roller coaster. When you go down these straightaways, you literally have the bottom. Feels like somebody kicked the bottom right out from under. You'll hear these drivers talk about, I went down into turn one and my car landed, and that's really what it feels like. It kind of goes up a little hill and then it just falls, the bottom falls right out. And when you land, you got to mash that thing wide open if you expect to go very fast around here, which I think these guys will.
Add to that, the exit of turn two is somewhat blind as you come around and go under the bridge, and everything squeezes down into that funnel that is the back straightaway. That's been the undoing of many a driver, as you see it there. But Larry, what about setting up for this place? Because it's really, it's unlike anywhere we go.
Well, yeah, you don't really relate it to anything. You might think back a little bit to what you did at Bristol. You might think a little bit about what you did at Atlanta. But I know they are very anxious to get this hour-and-a-half practice session in, because we have some differences from the last time we raced here. Goodyear, just like for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, a different left side tire, a grippier tire. Daryl and I were talking before the show, another change NASCAR made because they felt like the RPM was getting too high here a year ago. They pulled 14 points of gear out. That's about 300 RPM, and that can actually change the way this car drives. And of course, we know this is race number 7 with this rear spoiler. We had one driver tell us that they felt like that the cars were going to drive better here because the car's a little tighter turning in the corner with this rear spoiler.
Well, we'll see as it plays out through this practice session. Let's join Dick Berggren down in the garage.
Well, Jimmy Johnson has no bad racetracks on the series. He runs well at every single one of them. But he is especially good here at Dover, where in 16 tries, he has won 5 times. An incredible, nearly 1/3 winning success rate. Last year, he led 71% of the laps here. Now, last weekend in Darlington, Johnson endured a horrific crash, hit right in the door, but told me moments ago he feels just fine today, and indeed, even the day after the crash, he felt just fine. Said that he didn't know he was going to be impacted by A.J. Allmendinger, so he was relaxed and attributed that relaxation to some of the reason why he got through it with no problems. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Dick, no driver's been hotter entering the summer months than one Denny Hamlin. He's won 3 of the last 6 races, but Dover should be a great barometer of just how much momentum that they have going into the summer months, because it's his worst racetrack. His average finish here, 25th. But Larry Mack already mentioned Goodyear brought a different left side tire here. Crew Chief Mike Ford thinks this tire package might really suit Denny and what they might have been missing here at Dover in the past. And you know what they say? That's why we practice, to find out. Mike?
Thanks, Matt. Just in front of Denny Hamlin is the number 83, the Red Bull Toyota of Brian Vickers. Brian is not here in Dover this weekend, and we want to wish him a speedy recovery. He is being treated for blood clotting and thus is not cleared to drive here at Dover. So that is Casey Mears behind the wheel. Now, Brian Vickers 20th in points, 160 points out of 12th. It's not yet known how many races he will miss. Will this be the only weekend, or will he miss Charlotte? That remains to be seen. But what we do know for sure is Casey Mears is in this car this weekend.
Yeah, Casey was scheduled to drive for Tommy Baldwin racing in the 36 car. In fact, when the haulers left about a day and a half ago to come to Dover, basically that 83 car was prepared for Brian Vickers. Tommy Baldwin's 36 car was prepared for Casey Mears. Now Johnny Sauter, who is here running the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, he's climbed over in the Tommy Baldwin 36 car.
And what I know about blood clotting is that normally they give you a drug called Coumadin. And Coumadin is a blood thinner, and it helps dissolve blood clots. The problem is you can't race when you're on it, because it thins your blood down, and if you happen to have an accident, it could be critical. So I'm sure that's, not sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going on.
We have a lot of Hall of Fame themed paint schemes this weekend. None more iconic than this one. A.J. Allmendinger driving Richard Petty's number 43. And if you can just imagine a big STP sticker on the rear quarter panel, that looks very much like the King's Ride. Richard did compete here in a Ford. That was 1969, the year that he left Chrysler for 1 year and came back. However, that car was completely Petty blue. STP had not come on board yet. But gosh, if you just squint, you can imagine that's Richard Petty, and that's one of those STP Dodges or Pontiacs going around.
It almost looks like that old Pontiac.
Pontiac, that's it. Carl Edwards, top of the chart, early in practice. Speed's presentation of NASCAR Sprint Cup practice from Dover is brought to you by the Sponsifier. Visit ToyotaRacing.com and click on Design It, Enter It. And by Tornadoes, bold is how we roll. The red flag is out. Elliott Sadler, who a little bit ago qualified on the outside pole to Kyle Busch for tonight's Truck Series race, cut down a tire and hard into the wall right between turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, you can see that right front's down, and Larry, no more laps than he run. I gotta believe these things sometimes at this racetrack, the tire really flexes because of the banking, and that thing could have gotten into the sway bar arm and maybe cut that right front down.
And you can see there the car never turned. And normally when you hit the wall here, unlike at Darlington last week, there will be no evaluation of this car. You could see the guys running already to the 19 hauler to get the backup car out.
When we see these things on TV and they go into the wall, it looks harmless. But when you do it in real time, when you're standing here watching that car and they're going through the corners here, probably at 165 miles an hour right now, they go hard into the outside wall.
Well, Darrell, this may partly be a consequence of what you described, where you go down turn 1 and you leap and you go down the hill into the bottom of the corner. When you're at the bottom of that corner, that wall is a long way away.
It is. It's a long way away, and that's when the tires really flex, roll under, and the car really it compresses. And with all that going on, sometimes if you don't have enough clearance, you'll rub that inside sidewall of the tire and blow it out.
Now, Elliott actually qualified on the outside of the front row for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race that's going to be run later on this evening on Speed. So he had plenty of laps on the racetrack prior to this practice.
Jimmy Johnson is quickest. He went out and ran 2 laps, the first of which is the fastest today. Under the red flag for Elliott Sadler's crash in turn 1. This Sunday, NASCAR Race Day tackles the Monster Mile. Denny Hamlin and Juan Pablo Montoya live. Greg Biffle gives a behind-the-scenes tour of Roush Fenway Racing and an update on Brian Vickers. NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot, live from Dover Sunday at 10 Eastern and only on Speed. Cleanup continues from Elliott Sadler's crash. Let's find out what happened.
You've had a chance to take a look at the right front corner of this car. Did the right front tire go?
Oh, yeah, it blew a right front going in a straightaway. We think the sway bar arm was rubbing the inside of the right front tire. So, you know, tough luck for the Stanley guys, but my shop does a good job of preparing a backup car. So we'll go to that, which makes me have to start in the back of the field on Sunday. But it's a long race. We'll persevere and make the best day out of Sunday that we can.
And Darrell Waltrip called that, too. He said he bet that it was a sway bar into the right front tire. This was a brand-new race car before today.
The one thing I would like to clear up, as long as they present this car for qualifying with the engine they plan on racing on Sunday, he will be able to start this race where he qualifies, because this happened before qualifying.
So there's some good news. I mean, I know it's bad news. He tore up his brand new car, but some good news is they get another car out there. He's going to be okay.
And they should be able to get out there and get him some practice in.
Yeah.
And almost a home race for their sponsor Stanley up in New Britain, Connecticut. I'm sure they'll have a lot of folks down here as well. Darrell, to put this in perspective, Jimmy Johnson just toured the track in 23.03 seconds. You won the pole here in May of 1979 at 26.4 seconds. That's 3.5 seconds faster than when you won the pole here. Okay, it's been 30 years, but still, look what's happened to the speeds of these cars.
And if you want to look, that's the fastest. Look at the back here at the 34th fastest car right now. That's still a 25.1. And so 26 seconds around here. It seemed like we were going fast.
You were.
I thought I was going fast.
Now, one car you won't see on this chart as we cycle through the speeds is the number 90, the Raymond Key entry. That car has been parked. They are going on hiatus, and they are seeking sponsorship. They will not come to the track and start and park. They will instead seek sponsorship and come back to the track when they're able to compete.
Yeah, they were hoping to actually try to race the 2 weeks of Charlotte coming up, the All-Star Week and the 600, but I guess that's not really come to fruition for them either.
Unless a sponsor materializes.
But that's a guy that wants to race.
Yes. Agree. Matt?
Well, Mike, it's not how you start the week, it's how you finish. For Kevin Harvick, very tough week. His beloved New York Yankees shellacked by America's team, the Detroit Tigers. 3 out of 4 games, the Tigers took the win, almost sweeping his Yankees. But he comes to Dover, a track where he has struggled at sometimes in the past, but he says the car off the truck is absolutely stellar. He says this is the best we have ever unloaded here. The car has so much comfort. They made a small sway bar change. And I said, Gil, I said, is this really because this is the best we have ever been off the truck? So look out for Harvick this week, and he's only run 8 laps, but so far it looks pretty good.
Matt, I'm just a little confused. When you grow up in Bakersfield, California, how do you grow up a Yankees fan?
You know, Mike, I wonder that myself many, many times, especially when the Tigers beat the Yankees. I always have to bring that point forward.
STP red and petty blue. There's the 43 for A.J. Allmendinger. Tonight, Speed presents the life of Dale Earnhardt. Feared on the track, fearless behind the wheel. One of NASCAR's greatest champions. Hall of Fame biography, Dale Earnhardt, tonight at 11. Exclusively on Speed. Just about ready to turn loose and restart this practice session.
You know what I like about all those shows that they're doing for the Hall of Fame? Every time I watch one of them, I learn things that I thought I knew everything about Richard Petty. I thought I knew everything about Dale Earnhardt or Junior Johnson. Every one of those shows has revealed something that I was not aware of.
I think that's the great thing. One great thing about the Hall of Fame is all of these stories that may have been lost and forgotten. Now they are coming and being told as we near the induction, and there's just a lot of things to relive, and it's pretty special. Our director Artie Kempner hosted the great Autism golf tournament up in Wilmington yesterday, and he said that Kurt Busch was the first celebrity to arrive and the last to leave.
Yeah, he's been on a...
Oh, and by the way, he won. His team won.
Well, that's why he got there early. See, early bird gets the worm.
And that's why they left there late. They were celebrating.
Be my guess. I wouldn't know. I've never won a golf tournament like that, but I've heard it. But I've been there to every one of them trying.
Now, Kurt has run a total of 5 laps, and actually his 5th lap was his quickest lap. He jumped up from about 26th to 18th quickest that last time around.
And by the way, I played with some guys from FedEx yesterday, and great guys, had a lot of fun. They were every delivery was right on time.
We are told, however, that your 18 holes took longer to play than anyone else in Wilmington that day.
It takes a lot of thinking after each hole to figure out exactly what score you're going to write down.
You're wrong about that.
We usually get the award.
You've been hanging around with Hammond too much.
We usually get the award in those tournaments for most honest team.
Yeah.
Which would be the highest score.
I like what Larry said. He finally figured it out. He's been playing, doesn't play a lot of golf. He thought the high score won.
It just dawned on me watching the Masters. These son of a gun, they're trying to get the lowest score. Now I know what I've been doing here.
Yeah, but you've been getting plenty of practice.
Yes, I have. I get my money's worth out of a golf game.
And your golf tournament is when?
August 24th, right after the Bristol race. You can go to LarryMcReynolds.com and get all kinds of information.
Okay.
And then Michael and I moved our tournament, which was going to be in June at the Spring House there at Opryland. We moved ours to October, the week prior to the Talladega race. So that's for all of our good buddies back in Nashville, the flood victims.
Jeff Burton, 17th on the board. 9th in the standings, chasing Joey Logano, who right now has the 14th fastest lap. Logano is quicker on his second run than he was the first time out.
Of course, Dover is where Joey Logano in the 20 car made his top NASCAR Series debut in the Nationwide Series race this weekend 2 years ago.
And I don't want to read too much into this because it's just practice. We'll see how it shakes out. But I think if I was Jack Roush, and particularly Carl Edwards and Bob Osborne, I'd be pretty excited right now because they are second quick in practice, and those guys have really been struggling trying to get some speed out of their cars.
They were actually pretty excited about finishing 15th at Darlington because they struggled from the minute they opened the back door of the truck on Friday morning.
Well, I never thought about this term through the years, but when they talk about my car has no speed in it, you know, I guess that means it's driving okay and everything's feeling all right, but I'm not going anywhere, not going very fast. And that was what Carl was saying about his car. It had no speed in it.
Currently second. When the first laps went up before Elliott Sadler's crash, he was fastest. Jimmy Johnson is now a little quicker. David Reagan, 13th fastest right now, and the 4th fastest Ford behind Edwards, Gilliland, and Biffle.
You know, we were talking about this on our conference call the other day, guys, and when the checkered flag waves here, we're getting very close to halfway through the first 26 races. We still got a lot of racing to go. You know, we'll have 14 races, including the Coca-Cola 600 next week at Charlotte. But I just feel like that there is a few organizations, a few teams that they better get on the stick. I think the Roush Fenway group is one of them. I think Casey Kane in that 9 group is another one. And to be quite candid, I know he always gets off to a slow start. Tony Stewart in that 14 car is another one that they better get off the stick and go here.
And here's another one. Jamie McMurray, who started out as strong as you can start winning the Daytona 500, has kind of drifted back now out of the top dozen. He does run well here. Be a good place for a rebound.
Yeah, well, Jamie and Juan Montoya both are making good, strong cases to get into the top 12. Juan particularly, there was about 3 or 4 weeks ago when I said he's out, he's done. He's so far behind he'll never catch up. But in 3 weeks, he has closed that gap down to where now he reasonably could get in the chase, talking about Juan Montoya.
And of course, McMurray in the 1 car the last 3 races, 2 second-place finishes, Talladega and Darlington last week.
Now Marcus Ambrose, 28th in the series standings, and that's right where he is on the board, 28th.
This is a big weekend for Autism, of course, but you see on the hood of the 47 car that A&P, which is a Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company, they have a big push to raise awareness of muscular dystrophy this weekend here on the 47 car.
There's the MDA logo beneath the A&P logo. One of America's oldest grocery store chains, and here's the Z-Call Menards number 98. Paul is 27th on the chart, 23rd in the standings.
Boy, he is having a solid season in that Nationwide Series. Comes in here to Dover running the full schedule on both series. Comes in here 6th in the points in Nationwide.
Got off to a great start in his car here, his Cup car too, but the kind of things have not been going so well last couple 3 weeks.
Yeah, his first half dozen races were pretty spectacular. Dale Earnhardt, 28th in this practice session, hanging on to the last spot in the chase. And there's the big question is, will Junior make the chase?
Well, I know they're in the top 12, but I definitely should have added this car to my list of teams that better get on the stick and get going.
But this is a 1-year anniversary for he and his crew chief, Lance McGrew. This is where they started working together last year, and I guess they've made some gains.
Better off this race weekend than they were a year ago, no question.
Way better. Jeff Gordon up to 3rd on the chart, Matt.
Mikey's been the best Hendrick Motorsports finisher in 4 of the last 6 races, and 4 wins here on the concrete. Jeff said the right rear is just very edgy, but once it does settle in, it's okay. He says just that when you're turning down into the corner at both ends of the racetrack, the car just wants to come around. Steve Letarte, he's debriefing with Jeff right now. Going to make some changes. Going to put the car up on jack stands and make a few more changes to the 24. Dick Berggren?
Dover is one of the loudest racetracks we come to. So when Carl Edwards wanted to talk to his crew chief, Bob Edwards, he found that he couldn't talk to him, even standing side by side, and be heard clearly. So he put a headset on with a microphone. And that's how they have been having their debrief conversation about how the number 99 car is behaving on the Speedway. Oh, by the way, it's just a little loose.
Well, uniquely, the garage here is located down between turns 1 and 2. and you take the reflection of the sound off the concrete and off all of those seats, and the garage is right there next to them. What?
Yeah, to be honest, I was in the garage when they started qualifying for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. One truck at a time. Once they started qualifying, there was no more talking to anybody.
Kyle Busch will start on the pole for that truck race tonight that you'll see live on Speed. And he is 4th fastest in this M&M's Camry. 23:26. His best lap. 26 minutes into this first practice session for the Sprint Cup cars at Dover. Go ahead, Darrell. Interpret for us.
Well, it's exactly what we were talking about. Little hand jive, I guess you could say. But he's saying when I go off in the corner, and you can see Steve, it's Steve saying, yeah, the rear end's kicking out. That's that elbow coming out like that. And Jeff's saying when I turn down in there and the car lands, as we said, then when I start up off the corner, the back end, as Steve says, yeah, the back end's kicking out with that elbow. So you can pretty well determine what's wrong with somebody's race car. We used to do this in the garage all the time. Watch the other drivers and see what they're saying about their car. And they do it with their hands, so you didn't have to be a lip reader or anything. And, of course, the more emphatic you are and the more animated you are, the more serious the problem.
Right. But, you know, Darrell, every racetrack we go to, obviously finding the ultimate balance of the car is important. But the speed you're running around here, finding that balance is probably like walking on a tightrope. You can't stand to be loose here, but you don't want to be pushing that front end and sliding the front wheels either.
This with the concrete, and of course with when we started running the radial tire here, what scares you to death as a driver is exactly what Jeff's talking about. You're in the throttle, you're back wide open, you're coming up out of that hole, and when that thing gets up on the straightaway, when it finally gets to where you're on the straightaway and the back end snaps around, it's just almost by the grace of God you catch it, because right there at that point that thing wants to get out of here.
And that turn 2 exit, that to me that has to be one of the toughest corners in the sport, because not only are you going uphill, but there's a walkover bridge above, and that certainly changes your perspective. You got that little bit of dip in the wall down the middle of that straightaway, and you really don't see that back straightaway until you're well committed to the exit of the corner.
Yeah, you got to get probably right along in here somewhere in the turn before you can start to even visualize what's ahead. And you do it by feel, really. It's repetition. I say this all the time. Us drivers, we're all pretty much alike. We learn by repetition. And you do it over and over again, and so you know right where you are, but sometimes you can't see where you are. You just know where you are.
And I know today we're focusing on qualifying, but in the race we have periodically what we call the big one on the back straightaway at Dover, because there's nowhere to escape it. It's like a concrete canyon down through there.
But see this belly right along in here? That's where the car snaps with you. You're coming up out of this hole right here, and when you get to this belly of the corner, you're losing the banking. The banking goes away right there. And when the car jumps up, when it gets out of that banking, it jumps up on that straightaway, and you got to have it planted pretty darn good or it'll get away from you.
Craig Biffle's moved into the top 10 in this practice session. Denny Hamlin's jumped up to 5th and Clint Boyer 6th. And here's Biffle 10th.
You know, we talk about teams that need turnarounds and where do they go to get them. If Roush Fenway, if they can't get a turnaround here, they're in big trouble, because we have seen all 3 or 4 of these cars almost race each other for the win here a number of times.
Well, Greg has a couple of wins here, but yeah, the September race of 2008, Greg ended up winning the race, but he, Kenseth, and Edwards, I mean, battled fiercely to the very end with those 3 cars.
There's another one. See, he's coming up. And when the car goes in.
Look at the serious look on Martin's face, because this is his racetrack. This is his home track. He's from New Jersey. It's where he scored his breakout win in this series. So coming here is really big to the whole Truex family, especially this young man.
And really, it's like a shock package is what probably makes the most difference when you think, Larry, where the car, when it goes up, when the car wants to raise up, you got to have enough. The shocks have got to have enough rebound in them that they don't pull the wheels off the track. because you don't want to jerk the wheels up off the track. That's what gets you loose. So the body of the car needs to come up, but the wheels need to stay down, and that's when you got it handling pretty good.
I'd say shock package and air pressure can make you or break you here at this 1 mile track.
Yep.
Get your fish taco at Long John Silver's this week. That's what's on the hood of Travis Quapple's number 34. Baja fish taco.
Aha.
No, Baja.
Oh, aha.
Sounds good to me.
Now, Travis is one of the 2 of the 3 Front Row Motorsports cars that are locked in. Right now, Travis is only 42nd quickest of our 45 cars it's practice.
Joe Nemechek lost a car last week at Darlington right on the early part of practice, came off turn 4 and the thing just snapped and around it went, hard hit into the wall. So this looks to be the car that he ran in the race, which was his Darlington backup.
You know, Darrell, I would say a lot like Darlington with this tire package that Goodyear has brought here. A lot grippier left side tires. I'd say we might see some people roll their qualifiers in a little bit, possibly at the end of this practice session. Not go out there and put a hard lap on them, but just knock that newness, knock that shininess off.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot, but it gives you some instant security. If you go out there on stickers and you go down in the 3rd turn and that thing takes off up the hill with you, you say, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? The car is junk. But if you roll those tires in, get that new knocked off of them, you know when you hit that 3rd turn, pretty much that you got something that'll stick with you as you drive off into turn 1 almost wide open.
As we mentioned at the top of the show, Casey Mears was entered in the number 36 for Tommy Baldwin, but he was tapped to drive for Brian Vickers. There's Casey with Brian Pemberton. Vickers with a blood clot issue, not cleared to drive this weekend. So Casey Mears driving the 83, and Johnny Sauter, who only got out of Tommy Baldwin's car because the Truck Series schedule went in a different direction from the Cup Series. Since they are back together this weekend, that was an easy choice to put Sauter back in the 36 once Mears went to the 83.
Looks like, though, you know what, I kind of wish that Casey was more involved in that conversation right there. Did you see how he backed away? Because he doesn't want to have too much input as a visiting driver, I guess. But he needs to get his hands in or get dirty.
Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon still top of the chart. Saturday night, May 22nd, the stars come out, the gloves come off. It's the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race with $1 million on the line. Checkers, wreckers, you'll have to tune in to find out. Saturday night, May 22nd, only on Speed.
Quick, Darrell, who finished 2nd in the All-Star race last year?
Jimmy Johnson?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Look at this gentleman right here. This is the king, Richard Petty, who won here in how many different makes of cars?
Well, it's either Buick, Pontiac, Dodge, Oldsmobile, probably all of them.
5 different makes. Richard won the first Dover Cup race in a Ford in July of 1969. He won here in the Petty Plymouth, in the STP Dodge, in the STP Chevrolet, and Richard's 199th career win came here in May of '84 in a Pontiac.
Well, in about May of, I don't know if that was '84, probably May of '74, '75, I witnessed him make up 7 laps to win this race. You can fast forward that to a little bit, and I don't remember when Jody Ridley won this race, but I remember Jody Ridley had to drive about 6 or 7 laps to catch up with the field before he could take the lead to win the race.
Spring of 1981.
Yeah.
Because I think Cale blew up, Neil Bonnet blew up.
Yep. And after Neil blew up, you're right, Jody had to. He was 3 laps down to the leader, who the leader was in the garage.
Exactly.
The scoreboard just stopped and froze.
That was quite a day for Junie Donlevy and team. Let's see, Dale Jr. just jumped up to 12th. He was on the right side of the board. Now he's on the right side of the board. Dick?
Indeed, and Junior has had a good time here at Dover, won twice in the Nationwide Series, and in September of 2001, he won a Sprint Cup race here as well. But when he came into the garage after the very first practice he had done on the racetrack, he presented the crew with a very difficult set of circumstances. Said it takes forever for the car to land when he goes through the corners. He just now told him he just doesn't know what the car is going to do when it gets through the corners. He has complained about the right side tires not hooking up with the racetrack at all. Those are a tough set of descriptions of a car to try to fix.
And I talked about the change that Goodyear made with the left side tire. This is the same right side that we ran here a year ago. It's the left side that has the major change that gives the car more grip.
Larry, what does it used to say? Is there any, can you just find one thing you like about the car?
You like the seat? You like the color?
Travis Kvapil, as Larry pointed out, is locked in. Only car on the racetrack at the moment. Now, his teammate Kevin Conway's locked in. David Gilliland is out in the 38, but Gilliland is the second fastest of the go-or-go homers, so should have a very good chance to make this show. With 45 cars here, usually we have 46, but again, the number 90 Raymond Key, Keyed Up Motorsports entry, has been parked for lack of sponsorship. And these are the go-or-go homers. It means that only 2 will fail to make the show, and right now, based on practice speeds, those 2 would be Michael McDowell and Todd Bodine in the Gunselman car.
You know, going back to Dick Berggren talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr., he mentioned that win in 2001, the fall of 2001. To me, that was one of those moments that I guess that I will never forget. Our country and our sport was still in a state of shock and mourning over 9/11. The sport, like all other sports, opted not to go to Loudon, New Hampshire. This was our first time back at the racetrack, and I still can remember seeing Dale Jr. win that race in that Budweiser car and carrying that big American flag around the racetrack in his victory lap celebration.
That and 140-some thousand American flags with all the fans in the stands. And you're right, Larry, it was a time for us all to say, we're not going to let us beat this down. We're Americans. We're going to enjoy the freedoms that we have, and that includes the freedom to spend Sunday at the racetrack, and we're going to show them we're not afraid. We're American. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the debrief, crew chief Lance McGrew in discussion as they have the 12th fastest lap on the chart right now.
But I think the concern is their 12th quickest. But it appears, looking at the number of laps they've run, Mike, they're working on strictly qualifying. I think there's some guys that's already faster than him. I know for a fact Kyle Busch is just now, the 18 team, they're just now going to qualifying trim. I think Denny Hamlin may be in the same boat, been working on race stuff.
Well, for fellows like Joe Nemechek, the race today is to get into the race. He's one of the go-home cars, and he's right now just above the line. Now, Mike McDowell has stepped it up. He's now faster than Nemechek. So at this moment, the going homers would be J.J. Yaley and Todd Bodine. With Yaley at 23.90 and Nemechek, who would be in at 23.73. McDowell a 67. And Dave Blaney fourth in that group with a 23.46.
You know, of all of our go-or-go homers here, you know, a lot of weeks we can look and you go, you know, this guy's probably not going to make a good qualifying run. But of our guys, every one of those guys I think is capable of stepping it up and getting a good qualifying lap in.
Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch discussing things on the racetrack.
You know, Matt was talking about Kevin Harvick and the Yankees. Of course, they've been playing the Detroit Tigers. Actually, Brad Keselowski was up there in Detroit last night and threw out the first pitch for the Tigers and Yankees game. Of course, that's his home state, hometown there, pretty much. Right now, he is third quickest in that 12 car.
You know, an interesting thing about Dover, I always think, it kind of reminds me of Talladega a little bit. How many first-time winners? How many guys have won one race here? There's not a lot of multi-winners at this racetrack.
Yeah, we've had 80 races with 32 different winners, Daryl. So that is a lot of different winners for only 80 races.
Yeah, I was looking at the numbers, and if you look at the multiple winners, there's only like 5 or 6 guys that have won more than one race here. It just always made me say, that's one of those things always made me say, wonder why. See, you just said it.
Yeah. Only 2 drivers scored their first ever win here. Jody Ridley, Martin Truex. And let's go join the Tiger Fan Club reunion.
Absolutely, and of course Al Kaline is still God to all Tiger faithful. First off, I saw you throw the pitch. How would you rate your arc and your accuracy?
I give myself a B-. It was over the plate, just a little high, but a lot of fun to go back to Detroit. That's where I'm from, and to hang out with Nicholas Lindstrom, the captain for the Detroit Red Wings, which I'm a big fan of. So just a great time. I'm thankful for the Tigers and for Michigan International Speedway for putting that together.
They almost pulled off the sweep. You're looking for a big weekend here at Dover. You were comparing your car with teammate Kurt Busch. What were you telling him about your car and vice versa?
Well, he's in race trim and I'm in qualifying trim, and I think he wanted to know how my car drove in qualifying, and I want to know how his car drove in race, and just try to learn from each other. That's what good teammates do, and Kurt's a really good teammate.
All right, good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt. Kurt climbing back aboard. Still has his hat on backwards.
These guys kill me. You ever notice how they crash or whatever, something happened to the car? Before they ever get out of the car now, they get their hat on. Matter of fact, I've seen a couple guys go back and get a hat out of their wrecked race car.
I wouldn't be surprised if a young driver named Waltrip started all that, because, I mean, you didn't want to get out of the car with helmet head.
No, but I had somebody bring it to me. They got it. I guess they hook it around and shift. I don't know where they got it, under the seat. Maybe they got a glove box. People used to accuse me of having a glove box in their car.
Alan Kulwicki did.
Yeah.
He had always had a St. Christopher's medal welded inside the car, and he had a small box for a comb.
Yeah.
So that he wouldn't have helmet head when he got out of the car. He had that built into every car he had.
Yeah, I had a brush and hairspray. I'm the same way.
In the car.
I wanted to take care of my hair hat. Yeah. These guys, now they figured it out. You just get you a nice tight haircut and you don't have to worry about it.
That's what I've done. Little nice
tight haircut, right? You may have gone just a little overboard there.
The Hall of Fame is open. There's one Paulo Montoya, as seen through the center section of one of those racing wheels as he ponders the handling of his number 42.
Yeah, that's through the eyes of a big wheel.
You know, looking back at the grand opening of the Hall of Fame on Tuesday, of course, we were all down there doing shows for Speed. I think it was Daryl that put it the best of anything I heard that day, that somewhere around 9:30 or 10 o'clock Eastern time Tuesday morning, Bill France Sr. looked down and he smiled and he said, guys, you got it. That's what I'm talking about right there. What an awesome place. Very fan friendly, very fan accessible, just like our sport has been for 62 years.
I think that whole event, that whole 3 hours of television we did, and the whole ceremony, the two things I remember were your opening comments, Daryl, that just put this thing into perspective for all of us and made us feel that sense of pride. And the other thing that I thought was so great was Ned Jarrett's invocation that just brought everyone together in the sense of pride, purpose, accomplishment, and humility for what everyone had gone through since this sport started. It really was a pretty magical day to be there and to see that open, and the Hall of Fame is open now, and you should go there, folks. There's something there for everybody to be entertained and to be informed and to learn about what's made this sport great.
Yeah, for the first time, Mike, I feel like we finally have all of our history under one roof. You know, every race team, a lot of race fans, we all have memorabilia, we all have pieces, we all have, I have cars, Childress has cars. Everybody has stories, things that you'd like to see, like to share with the fans. It's finally under one roof. You can go to one place, you can see our sport from the day it began to current day times, and it's just that's what I love about it, is there's something there for every fan. Glory Road, it's the coolest thing I think. You know what, you walk in there and you say, man, I never saw that car race. I never knew that. Man, look at that old thing. Look at that Hudson Hornet. I don't even know they raced them. But as you go up Glory Road, at some point, you're going to get to a point. Now, that's the first car I remember seeing at a racetrack.
That's it. You're going to get to your era.
Yeah, you'll find your era, and then it's from there on.
Joey Logano, Greg Zipadelli, deep in conference, deep in the garage.
But see, that's good stuff right there. That's a driver and a crew chief engaged. Tell me what you need. Tell me what we got. Tell me where we are. And I think that's important, that communication, that the crew chief and the driver are eye to eye. Let's work on this thing and get it better.
All right, the top 5 has changed somewhat because Sam Hornish Jr. has joined Brad Keselowski. They're at 3rd and 4th position. That's what's moved Jeff Gordon back to 5th.
You know, thinking back to Joey Logano, right now in that 20 car, he's 19th quickest. You remember the last time he was here in a Sprint Cup Series car, maybe probably one of the worst crashes we've ever seen at Dover Speedway. Horrendous crash early in the race down in turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, it just went tumbling. I mean, turned over, got upside down, rolled, bounced.
That was a rough one. And aside from Talladega and Michael McDowell's qualifying crash at Texas, you're right, Larry, that's probably the wildest flip we've had since NASCAR went to this COT platform.
This might be a practice qualifying run for Jeff Gordon in that 24 car. As you pointed out, Mike, he's 5th quickest right now, but this is starting a run with this DuPont car.
Jimmy Johnson, the only driver so far to break 23 seconds. Gordon a 22.98.
It's going to be right on top of it, I think. It's pretty. Looks like a flyer to me.
Jumps up to a 19, which is 4th quickest.
On the right of the screen, Alan Gustafson up there on the box with Steve Letarte. Happy birthday, Steve. Letarte is 31 today.
Started working at Hendrick Motorsports when he was a teenager, sweeping floors.
He actually started cutting Ray Evernham's grass at Ray's house. That's how he actually got hooked in and started there.
Well, he must have done a really fine job.
Yeah, I mean, he moved in from sweeping the floors to general mechanic. He was a tire specialist for the 24 car, moved into the position of car chief, and then when the crew chief position opened up, there you have it.
And I think if you follow the history, just look at Hendrick Motorsports. Think about Alan Gustafson and Mark Martin. Alan was a fan of Mark's.
That's right.
Always wanted to work with Mark. And here Steve is working with Jeff. And I'm sure growing up around that shop and all, he always thought maybe someday I'll be Jeff Gordon's crew chief.
Yeah. Now Carl Edwards just bettered his time. He's in the 2s, 22.99 for Carl, 2nd fastest. Part of the fan-friendly All-Star Week of events, NASCAR revved up. A free concert in Uptown Charlotte featuring recording artists Switchfoot and Parachute. Visit speed.com/allstar.
Speaking of All-Stars, Margaret Jean Waltrip's birthday is today. That's my mom, and I want to wish her a happy birthday, Mom.
Right.
I know you're watching, so perk up a little bit.
And I need to wish my lovely wife Linda a little belated birthday. I didn't forget it yesterday, but her birthday was yesterday.
Look at these guys. Look at, tie your hands behind the crew chief or the driver, and these guys could never get anything done.
Well, you've seen actions. Well, let's get some words. Dick Berggren with Jamie Mack.
And oh boy, has Jamie McMack been on fire here as well lately. Finished second 2 out of the last 3 races. How's your stuff here?
Bass Pro Shop Chevy is good. We're all in race trim right now, so we'll have to wait and see when we make a qualifying run how we compare to the other guys. But I felt like in race trim we were pretty good. Moto does a really good job of showing up with a plan. We unloaded and we really weren't that good, and they changed a few things and got the car a lot better. So I feel pretty good about it.
I was watching your swing in the golf tournament yesterday. Looked pretty good. Did you have a good time?
I had a great time, and it's a really good golf tournament that Artie puts on, and they raise so much money. They probably raise more money than any other tournament that I've played in. We didn't have a chance to compete for a win yesterday. We definitely we're not the best golfers, but we did have a really good time, and it's for a really good cause. So thanks to Artie and everybody puts that on.
Thank you for spending your day with us.
I've just really been impressed with what Jamie's doing this year, driving that nationwide car for Junior Motorsports, and the runs he's had. he's going to be in the chase, I'm pretty sure.
David Ruderman has jumped up to 4th with a 23.03. And new sheriff in town. Ruderman won the pole here last May. And Kyle Busch, his fastest, 22.87.
But I heard him say, just told Dave Rogers, it's almost like they did an A-B on a complete package, because his last run here was a 22.92. I guess either the lap before that or the run before that was an 87.
Let's check with Matt.
Well, Mike, we've talked to some participants. Now let's talk to the champion of the Drive for Autism golf tournament. Stellar round yesterday.
It was a great group effort. I only did maybe 1 or 2 putts, but my group, we had this ringer every time in the fairway. It was like, wow, what's this foreign substance that I never hit out of? It's the fairway. And we did really good. And we had 8 birdies to start off. Then you could buy an eagle on one of the holes, obviously, for charity. And it was really neat. Artie Kempner really put a full effort into that. Over $3 million was raised yesterday, and that's just a true testament to what this garage area can do when you put your minds together. So that was a great effort there. We're doing okay right now, switching over to qualifying trim with the Miller Lite Dodge.
How was your car earlier?
It's getting in the corner really good, hugging the bottom down into the center. I'm just tight past that point on the way out of the corner. So that's where we're going to get the car a little better. Talked with the Goodyear engineers. They say there's a little less stagger in this tire. So we got to make sure we get the car freed up enough.
Artie has 1 win this weekend, looking for another on Sunday. Mike?
Thanks, Matt. Dale Jr. has just jumped up the board into the top 5, joining Jimmy Johnson, his Hendrick teammate. So the top 5 now looks like this: Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, all under 23 seconds. Then David Ruderman, Dale Earnhardt.
Now that stagger that Kurt Busch was talking about, that's the difference in the circumference of the left side tires versus the right side. The more differential you have, the more the car will turn a tighter radius. A great analogy is take a paper cup and lay it on the ground and just roll it. The bigger that the mouth of that cup is versus the bottom, it's going to turn a tighter radius.
Michael McDowell has jumped up. He's now 4th among the go or go homers. That would be a safe. Well, now he's 5th. Gilliland, Blaney, Stremme, Bliss has jumped up ahead of McDowell now.
One thing that's fascinating to me is this car never appealed to me. I didn't really have a lot of love for this car. I didn't love this car at all, matter of fact. But when they took that wing off and put that piece of aluminum back up on the deck there like we've looked at for 50 odd years, this car has a whole new personality to me. And the drivers like it better. They say it handles better, drives better. It definitely looks better. I believe if they would tweak the nose of this thing a little bit, we're back in business with a car that, no telling how fast it would go.
I think the rear spoiler and the extension lower of the rear quarter panel, Darrell, has put this car more back into the proportions of the stock cars that we remember.
And I think from a feel standpoint, as we watch Max Pappas in that 13 car, he's going out to make a little run here. He's 21st quickest right now. Chad Canals told me, and I think I've said this, the wing was so low to the deck lid, but yet had that air gap there, that it made that wing work inconsistent. It wouldn't do the same thing every lap. I think what this spoiler has done, I've heard some drivers say it, it gives you the same feel every time until you make a change on the race car.
That's good news. Jimmy Johnson now 3rd behind Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. A little less than half an hour to go in this practice.
It's kind of,
Looking for a stock car racing fantasy game? Log on to speedfantasyracing.com. Play in your own group or join the overall game for cash prizes. Register now for the new summer game and your chance to win $3,000. The top 5 has all changed once again as Jeff Burton rolls out. Jimmy Johnson quickest. He has lowered the fast time now to 22.73. Kyle Busch has not gone back out, nor has Denny Hamlin, but Carl Edwards at a 93. And behind them, Ruderman, Earnhardt, Reagan, Montoya, and Keselowski, the top 10.
Well, the track was very quiet. In fact, we just saw Jeff Burton in the 31 car go out there. But I would say with 25 minutes to go in this practice, we've heard a lot of drivers say it in their interview, the scoring monitor's about to get busy because now everybody, the last few teams will be going to qualifying track.
Yeah, and then, we got a break, and certainly what we see in the next session will be probably everybody in qualifying trim. So probably just taping tires right now.
They better be in qualifying trim because it'll be qualifying.
Right? Good point, Larry.
Really hard coming to get the green. I feel like I need some rear lateral grip, but I still need to turn a little better.
Well, he picked up 0.4 of a second to 23.05. Jeff Burton.
I'm an old guy, okay? I'm old school. I hear terms and I said, what? Rear lateral grip. I mean, those are terminologies they're engineering terminologies. It just shows you how astute these drivers are and how much they pay attention to what they're working on back at the shop with all the simulation, and then transferring that into information to give to the guys working on the car.
Now here's Elliott Sadler out in his backup Stanley Ford, because right off the top of this practice session, Sadler cut a tire. The sway bar link got into the tire, and this happened in turn 1.
Yeah, this was only 5 laps into that practice session for that 19 car, and they just got the backup car out there with about 25 minutes to go.
Now let's take a second and review, because the last few weeks we've been on the impound style schedule, which meant 2 long practice sessions, then qualifying on Friday, race on Saturday. At Dover, the race is on Sunday, so we have this hour-and-a-half practice session. Then later this afternoon, after nationwide practice, these cars will qualify. So this is the only practice today. They will get an hour-and-a-half of practice tomorrow to get ready to race.
Yeah, this is really the first time we've had this schedule in over a month, because when you think about it, even Talladega was a very unique schedule with qualifying on Saturday there, even though the race was on Sunday with the full impound procedure.
Yeah, and that was what I was thinking we were doing here. You know, I thought we were going to practice again in a little while.
Sure, a lot of people we're in that same boat. So yeah, 1 practice, and then we'll qualify later this afternoon, and you will see that live on Speed. Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon among those out on track for a flyer. Mark moves up to 12th with a lap of 23.13. Now 13th.
Jeff Gordon just got here. He goes. I think he's on a fast one too.
A.J. Allmendinger just jumped up into the top 10. That's what moved Mark back to 13th. Allmendinger is 10th. Sam Hornish going back out. He's 3rd right now.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Jeff Gordon was well up in the top 5, and now right now he's 16th quickest in this 24 car. Jeff Gordon 12th, 23.08, 13th, 14th.
Casey Kane just jumped up to 3rd with a 22.92.
Now arriving at gate 9.
10.
11. That's how fast the score monitor moves.
That's it.
Carl Edwards now 8th, and Greg Biffle 9th. Biffle just made a run. And here's Kevin Harvick trying to break into that top 10.
I don't know how good this lap will be. He was way up the racetrack. I mean, he jumps up to 20th quickest, but he was. Daryl and I were talking during commercial break. In 3 and 4, we're seeing every car ride up about a lane. You almost let the car just find its place around there. But Harvick was up maybe a good 2.5 lanes that time.
Basically, you try to diamond turns 3 and 4. Let the car go in, let it roll up just to the center of the corner, and then try to diamond off of that corner. So a little bit different effect than effort of what you put into 1 and 2.
Ryan Newman just turned the 9th quickest lap of this session, 22.99. So 9 drivers under 23 seconds. Clint Boyer now 8th, and Carl Edwards jumps to 3rd.
Been good the whole time ever since we unloaded here. He's been right at the top.
Kyle Busch 2nd quickest, waiting to go back out. When we went to this last commercial break, here's how the top 10 in practice looked. A Dodge in the midst of Fords and Toyotas. Chevys pretty much at both ends of the top 10. A lot has changed. Martin Truex has gone to 2nd on the board with a 22.83. Sam Hornish drops there to 7th. Hamlin, Logano, and Boyer anchor the top 10 right now.
A lot of Toyotas in that top 10 right now.
Truex, Busch, Rudeman, half the top 10. Hamlin, Logano. Tony Stewart making his first mock qualifying run.
But he hopes this is a good one. Let's see what he does here.
Needs to pick up half a second to break.
He did.
In, and he does. 8th, 22.93. Nice lap for Smoke.
Been a good racetrack for him. 22 starts. He has led 1,072 laps here. Has those 2 wins, 3 second-place finishes.
I think what I'm seeing, Larry, that this is a great tire. It doesn't wear out. It's got a lot of grip. It doesn't give up all that much, but it does give up enough that when you put 4 new ones on, you're going to pick up quite a bit of speed.
Regan Smith in the furniture row, number 78. It's down toward the bottom of the chart. They've not made a mock qualifying run. That chain just keeps getting bigger and bigger. They're building in Charlotte. Going to be a furniture row out there by IKEA, just south of Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Wow, and it's just hard to believe that whole company started with the gentleman that owns it, Barney Visser. That a very tall gentleman couldn't find a bed that would fit him, so he built one in his basement, and that's how that whole company started.
Necessity is the mother of invention, and away you go. How'd Regan do?
Jumped up to 39, jumped up a little bit.
23.53, still a little bit off.
Everywhere, no rear grip whatsoever.
Well, that seems to be the nature of the practice session, looking for more rear grip.
Paul Menard is 21st with a 23.14.
This is a funny racetrack, Larry. I can remember kind of fighting that same issue, and normally you'd take some spring out of the right rear to get the car more rear grip, let it travel a little bit more. Sometimes over here, where you come up off a corner, adding right rear spring, holding that corner up, holding that spoiler up there high in the air coming up off the corner would actually tighten you up. It can be rather confusing.
Elliott Sadler trying to get his arms around this backup car. 23.58. Let's see how Brad Keselowski is in qualifying trim. He was pretty quick in race team trim, and he's right on 23 flat, which is now good for 14th on the board.
Yeah, it's going to be another one of those tight qualifying sessions, because right now Jimmy Johnson the quickest at a 22.73. I just moved back there to 33rd. Johnny Sauter's a 23.41.
And the 33 car of Clinton Boyer, he just jumped up to second, just 100th or so off of, well, 3/100ths off of Jimmy Johnson's fast lap.
22.77 for Boyer.
It's been a good track for Clint, especially in the Nationwide Series. He's won a race or two here in the Nationwide Series.
Had some tough sledding in that series lately. A few crashes. Kurt Busch back out. He is 15th right now at a 23.04.
And that was a practice qualifying run for him. He was way down the chart before this run here.
Now you can play two here. You know, depending on how you go out, what kind of air pressure you go out with, and if your first lap you're not happy with. I've seen people pick up on their second lap here.
He slowed down about 4/100ths, and that's about what we've seen. I saw Jimmy Johnson slow down about 3/100ths of a second on his second lap while ago.
And just remember, on these qualifying runs right now, when you come out of the garage, it's not like when you're out there to qualify. When you're out there to qualify, you're at the end of pit road and you can get up on the racetrack and get your speed up much quicker. You come out of the garage, you got to take your time getting up on the track, so it's deceiving what you can run sometime on that first lap.
Sprint brings you an inside look at what's happening now inside the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Jimmy Johnson 22.73, 158 miles an hour. That's the fastest lap so far. For more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, live race radio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. Kyle Busch a little slower on this lap, right on 23 seconds. Let's go to the garage. Dick Bergman.
Well, Clint Boyer has been very fast through this practice, Mike. Right now he's second on the board, but that's not good enough for them. Car is just a little bit tight, so they're going to put 4 fresh tires on it. They made a couple of adjustments to it, including a change of spring rubber, and they're going to go out one more time and see if they can do better. Matt.
Dick, less than 10 minutes left in this practice session. The CAT team working feverishly, making a couple more adjustments to get Burton out at least one more time. He's in qualifying trim. He said the balance was much better, but on the second lap, he was hitting hard the racetrack down in 3 and 4, the car bottoming out. He said it's really a fine line. He wants the car to turn better, but it just can't be any more free. Ty Berry going to make at least one more adjustment on the front of this machine. They've got sticker tires going on. They've already put some Sunoco race fuel in, so all their measurements and balance is the same, so that way they can go from one point to another to see the difference.
Now, I know they got these cars scienced out with these bump stops and everything, so they know where that car is going to land or where it's going to end up. We used to hear one of the few places, but we used to put a round or two of extra on the, raise the front of the car up a round or two for qualifying, knowing that it's going to go down there and you do not want it to bottom out. If it does, it shoots the car up the hill. So just a little insurance. We always raise the car up just a little bit.
More speed is more travel.
Jimmy Johnson on his out lap. He is fastest with a 22.73.
And that's all they've worked on for this entire hour and a half.
It sounded like he liked it.
22.79.
Yeah, about
maybe,
half a tenth slow.
Or maybe he didn't like it.
A.J. Allmendinger jumped up into the top 5 for a moment at a 22.90, sixth fastest for the Dinger, carrying Richard Petty's. I like those colors on that car. It's not so much that I didn't like the green, and I didn't, but you know, that car with the 43 just looks right in that paint scheme.
Yep.
Petty blue, STP red, Hall of Fame induction coming live on Speed. A little more than a week. Elliott Sadler, backup car, 42nd. Trying to get it comfortable because he's in the race. And
now here's what's interesting about qualifying. As soon as this practice is over, we're going to have a nationwide series practice. But the track will end up sitting for about 10 minutes or so. And when this concrete sits, it just, I think even more so sometimes than the asphalt, the oils just bleed up out of it. When I look at some of our guys that go out first, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth, David Reagan, not a place I always wanted to be the first car to go out, especially after the track set any at all.
I know they were talking about Boyer being a little loose or a little tight. I would leave my car a little tight if I was going out early, particularly.
Matt Kenseth, 20th. You're right, Larry. An asphalt track, when the oils kind of bleed out of that rubber, like you're talking about, they can bleed into the asphalt. Concrete isn't that absorptive. It doesn't have that absorption. So you're right. It just kind of sits there and makes things a little greasy.
Here's what I think you might be overlooking. The concrete, the rubber doesn't go in the track.
Yeah.
It stays on top of the track. So what color is the rubber? It's black. So that black rubber laying on top of that white track, sun shines on it, it heats up that rubber. And that's where you lose grip at. That rubber kind of gets hot and it's got to be run over and pushed back down. I think.
Okay.
That'll give you some lateral grip.
Now, Tony Stewart in that 14 car just made another run. He was about a tenth, about 2/10 slower than he was on his fastest lap.
Clint Boyer on his out lap, just about 6.5 minutes left in the session right now. The top 5, Jimmy Johnson, Boyer, Truex, Kane, and Kyle Busch. We'll see what changes in a minute here. Well, the one change in the top 5 is Casey Kane, who ran a little quicker, moves up to 3rd ahead of Martin Truex, who went back out but was not faster. And Jeff Gordon knocking on the door of the top 10. Gordon is 11th with a 22.92.
And that lap for Casey could even be a little deceiving. He had a little bit of a distraction down in turn 3 and 4. The 64 car of Todd Bodine did move well up out of his way, but I almost think that may have distracted him a little bit.
It might have a tad, but I tell you, Todd did a nice job of knowing that he was coming in a hurry and moved up out of Casey's way. So maybe not.
You saw Mike Bliss, who is right on the cusp of making or missing the show in the 09. And here is Dale Jr. Out for another qualifying pass. He's 20th right now with a 23.05.
Car looks real jukey though. It's like it's choppy. It's not smooth through the corner. The back's kind of slipping in and out.
Looks like he's looking for rear grip late exit of the corner, especially off turn 2.
23.08.
It's like maybe the car's too tight, Larry, and he's having to turn the wheel, and it's causing it to kind of look snappy loose.
One driver who's not been back out lately, as you see Mike Bliss trying to better 23.39. And that is Max Pappas. Max has struggled on the ovals of late, but he has been one of the 3 fastest go-homers this entire session.
I think one thing that may be helping Max, he was here all day yesterday practicing. He's running in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. That may be track time, nothing like track time.
So right now it looks like Pappas would make the show. and that Todd Bodine and Joe Nemechek are the most at risk of going home.
And unless Booty Barker, Max Pappas' crew chief, changes his mind, Larry Mack will have a radio talking to Max during qualifying coming up later on this afternoon to see how he does on that first lap. I finally told him, you got to give me a radio. I can't stand it no more.
And what will you be telling him, Larry?
If he beats 2 cars, that's good, Mad Max. Bring her in, buddy.
Ryan Newman trying to beat 22.99. He is 16th right now. Jeff Burton just ran a lap a little slower than his best, so he stays 15th. And Sam Hornish right now 13th. Newman jumps to 10th. Ryan in the top 10 at a 22.91. Must have got a little extra speed from those crab cakes last night.
Yeah, you know, and you're talking about Booty. Booty always sits right out here on pit road, looking at the start-finish line. So it's not like, and he's got his stopwatch in his hand. So.
And he said that at Darlington. He said, you know, he looked at his time on his stopwatch, and it was so close, he couldn't make the call right there going off of his stopwatch.
Gotcha.
All right, he's not perched where he can see one of those computer screens that instantly updates where all the cars are in scoring. So Larry lent a little helping hand.
Well, let's see. The track record, boys, is 22.28. Don't think we're going to get there.
You know, I think that may be a little bit of a stretch considering what time of day we're going to be qualifying.
Casey Mears in for Brian Vickers, and right now he's 38th in this practice with a 23.41. Jimmy Johnson, it looks like, is going to win this practice. And Johnson has 2 poles here, September of 2007 and 2009. But Jimmy does not yet have a pole. In 2010, is today the day? We'll find out a little later when we have pole position qualifying for you right here on Speed.
I think this track will be a little bit of a measuring stick for that 4018.